Welcome to a quick video session about how to navigate your way through the new art and science of teaching when you've already been utilizing the original in your classroom. I'm Marissa Halfley, and I'm here with Miranda Havens and also Christy Johnson. We're happy to help you bridge the gap between these two frameworks today. Remember, the original Art and Science of Teaching was published in 2007. It received an update in 2017, published as the new Art and Science of Teaching. While you may have been trained on the original version, please know the two are very similar. The element numbers have changed, some of the elements have been combined, some of the categories have been grouped, and just a handful of new elements have been added. But the biggest change is the perspective in which the new framework and book is designed. Dr. Robert Marzano, sometimes known to us as Dr. Bob, describes the new art and science of teaching by explaining how the new framework is much more than a second edition of the original published in 2007, and it represents a shift from a teacher behavior perspective to a student outcomes perspective, while also addressing a wide range of instructional strategies. Throughout the book, Marzano details the elements of three overarching categories of teaching, which define what must happen to optimize student learning. In this video, we want to walk you through these changes so that you are better able to support and discuss these as we move forward in this transition to the new art and science of teaching. It might be helpful to have your copy of the original framework in front of you as we talk about these changes today. In the original framework, we have 9 design questions. One of the things you will notice is that the design questions have now been turned into category titles. However, the concepts are pretty much the same. Design question 1 in the original framework is, what will I do to establish and communicate learning goals, track student progress, and celebrate success? In the new framework, the category is now providing and communicating clear learning goals with the same 3 elements. You'll notice, though, that element 1 now includes rubrics as well as scales. I hope you noticed here that we've provided you with the element numbers from the original version of ASOT in parentheses after each element to help you connect the 2 frameworks. On the new placemat, you'll see that the 3 lesson segments are now those overarching categories we mentioned earlier. They are feedback, content, and context. Feedback includes some elements from the routine events lesson segment, but one design question has been moved to another segment. Feedback is also where you will find what was originally DQ1. And keep in mind, when we're talking about feedback, Dr. Bob refers that as the information loop between the teacher and students that also provides students with an awareness of what they should be learning, but also how they're doing. Design question 6, you see here, and design question 7 have been combined into a new category called rules and procedures. This new combined category of rules and procedures can be found in that new lesson segment called context. When thinking about this category, be mindful that context, according to Dr. Bob, refers to various student psychological needs, such as engagement, order, a sense of belonging, and also high expectations.
Now, Marissa has touched on the feedback lesson segment and the context lesson segment. We are going to dive into that middle column, that content lesson segment. You'll notice here in the old ASOT framework, we've highlighted some of the elements in light blue. When referring to content, Marzano is referring to that lesson progression that allows students to move from an initial understanding of application to application while continuously reviewing and enhancing their knowledge. So that brings us to that middle column, and these elements that have been highlighted in blue are now a new category that occurs across all kinds of lessons, and it's actually called strategies that appear in all types of lessons. You'll notice element number 22 is a new element that has combined elements 7, 15, and 21 from the original placemat. The other elements in DQ2, 3, and 4 have been left where they are in the framework, but under new category titles. So you'll see DQ2 is now direct instruction lessons, DQ3 is now practicing and deepening lessons, and DQ4 is now knowledge application lessons. In practicing and deepening lessons, you'll see that element number 9, which was originally element number 19, has the word structured in place. And that is referring to an emphasis on how the practice session should occur versus how it was worded on the old placemat as just practicing skills, strategies, and processes. Additionally, elements 12 and 14 were originally one element in the old placemat and have now been separated, emphasizing the need for a progression of learning. Students engage in the cognitively complex task, the teacher provides resources and guidance, and ultimately the students are able to explain their thinking. Now, talking about engagement with knowledge, keeping those students engaged, design question 5, which is in the context column now, what will I do to engage those students, hasn't changed much. This is a popular focus for many campuses, so you'll be glad to know that there aren't many changes here. However, as Marissa mentioned earlier, context talks about meeting those students' psychological needs, which element number 32 has been added, and it's all about motivating and inspiring students. You'll find the engagement category in that context segment because we're looking to meet those students' psychological needs.
As Miranda mentioned, the context column includes strategies to establish a student's sense of belonging. One of those includes design question 8, which has been shortened to relationships and really hasn't changed very much. The element that is now 38 has changed just a little bit to include verbal and nonverbal behaviors that indicate affection. You'll find this relationships category that is based off of DQ8 also in the context column. DQ9, which focused on communicating high expectations, has changed in that the term low expectancy students is now reluctant learners. You'll find this category also in the context segment at the bottom. If you think about the original framework, you'll notice that one thing is missing: assessments. In the new placemat, you'll find assessment in the feedback column, and it includes both informal assessments of the whole class and formal assessments of individual students. If you'd like to have a resource or cheat sheet for the new Art and Science of Teaching, Marzano Research has created a crosswalk of these changes. You can find this resource by scanning the QR code or using the bit.ly link at the bottom. Thank you again for taking the time to learn more about the new Art and Science of Teaching as we transition to this framework. Don't hesitate to reach out to one of us here at Region 9 if you have any questions regarding the new framework or its components.